Hello. Hi. Welcome back to Less Stress for You and I. I'm Jimmy Morris, and this episode is episode 10, Taxes. We have to set priorities if we want a strong middle class. Then our tax codes must reflect our values. Our current administration has passed wide-ranging tax relief for working families and small business, the drivers of economic growth. But to pay down our deficit and invest in our future, we have to make hard choices. That means asking those at the top to do their fair share and putting an end to special privileges and loopholes that benefit those who need them the least. Tax cuts for the middle class. Within weeks of taking office, the present administration took immediate action in the midst of the economic crisis to restore security for middle-class families by cutting their taxes in the Recovery Act. Since then, the current administration has to make it easier for them to make ends meet. In the first 4 years of the present administration, a typical family making $50,000 a year had received tax cuts totaling $3,600. More if they were putting a child through college. On January 2nd, 2013, the current administration signed bipartisan legislation that will make income tax rates stay low permanently for 95% of Americans, while asking the wealthiest households to pay a little more to help reduce the deficit. Tax cuts for small businesses. The current administration firmly believes that entrepreneurs and small businesses are the engine of economic growth, and that their investments and innovations have been at the forefront of our economic recovery. That's why our present administration has focused on strengthening family businesses by the tax credit laws and helping small business hire and grow, provide affordable health insurance to employees, and invest in new machinery and equipment. Tax reform. The tax code has become increasingly complex and unfair. Under today's tax laws, those who can afford expert advice can avoid paying their fair share, and interest with the most connected lobbyists can get exemptions and special treatment written into our tax codes. While many of the tax incentives serve important purposes, taken together, the tax expenditures in the law are insufficient, unfair, duplicative, and even unnecessary. That is why the current administration has called on Congress that meets the following 5 principles. Number 1, lower tax rates. The tax system should be simplified and work for all Americans, with lower individuals and corporate tax rates and fewer brackets. Number 2, cut insufficient and unfair tax breaks. Cut tax breaks that are insufficient, unfair, or both, so that American people and business spend less time and less money each year filing taxes and cannot avoid their responsibility by gaming the system. This includes cutting tax preferences for high-income households, eliminating special tax breaks for oil and gas companies, closing loopholes for investment fund managers, and eliminating benefits for corporate jet owners. Number 3, cut the deficit. Cut the deficit by $737 billion by asking the wealthiest to pay their fair share and build on the $1 trillion in spending cuts. The current administration has signed into law the Budget Control Act in 2011, moving forward. The present administration is committed to reducing the deficit even more, Splitting savings is a balanced way between spending cuts and raising revenue from the wealthiest Americans. Number 4, increase job creation and growth in the United States. Make Americans stronger at home and more competitive globally by increasing the incentives to work and invest in the United States. Number 5, observe the Buffett rule. As multi-billionaire Warren Buffett has pointed out, his average tax rate is lower than his secretary's. No household making over $1 million annually should pay the smaller share of their total income in tax than middle-class families. Understanding where the tax dollars are spent. In this 2011 State of the Union address, the current administration promised that for the first time ever, American taxpayers would be able to go online and see exactly how their federal tax dollars are spent. Just enter a few pieces of information about your taxes, and the taxpayer's receipt will give you a breakdown of how your tax dollars are spent on priorities like education, veterans benefits, or health care. Thank you very much. And again, if you have any tips, contact us at morris910yahoo.com. Back to you, Saran.
Thank you, Jimmy, and welcome to another exciting, or I should say calming, episode of Less Stress for You and I. Today we are here with Tom Larson of Prepare and Prosper. It's a tax agency, no? Tax preparation agency?
We are what is called a VitaSite Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, and also we feature financial services.
Outstanding.
And we've been in business for 42 years.
Oh, that's impressive. Well, I wrote down some questions because the tax field, I understand, is very difficult, somewhat complicated, and I hope you bear a little bit of patience with me while I read these off to you, yes?
It's a pleasure to be here and help out your audience.
That's kind of scary. Okay, here we go. Question number 1. Tom, tell me, what is Prepare and Prosper, and who do you serve?
Well, we are a nonprofit, and our services are free, and we provide free income tax preparation for people that qualify. And in that program, we see barbers and hairstylists and massage therapists and daycare owners and operators. Yeah.
Sounds kind of extensive there. Yeah. Okay, question number 2. What can people do all year long to be organized or to be better organized for tax filing season?
If you owe taxes and you want to change that, you may want to have more tax taken out of your paycheck. This is W-4. It's a simple form to fill out. All you do is fill out this bottom part here. And what it does, okay, is change the number of exemptions on your paycheck. So, for example, I have 3 exemptions on my tax return because I'm married and we have 1 child. And you can elect to undercount that, have more taken out. Say on your paycheck that you want to say that if you're a family of 4, you could say 2. I only want to claim 2 exemptions, or 3, and that way more tax is taken out. That's if you owe more tax. Also, if you have some sort of life change, you may need to do that also. For example, my daughter turned 17 in 2014, so I'm no longer eligible for the child tax credit, so that increased my taxes by $1,000 compared to the year before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So you see the person in charge of your payroll to get your W-4 and change it. Okay? And one word on that is the penalties are going up next year for those who don't have health insurance. Okay?
Okay.
Another thing, too, that we recommend and we push heavily around here is the K-12 education credit.
It's the K-12 education credit.
Yes, and this is a Minnesota credit, and what you can do is if you qualify, your expenses for those qualifying educational expenses can be reimbursed up to 75% of the cost, okay? And you could keep them in an envelope like this. We have these available. And qualifying expenses are things like pens and pencils, notebooks, tutoring or instructor fees. My daughter has a math tutor. We take advantage of that. Music lessons, the purchase of a musical instrument or the renting one, and computers, hardware, and software. There are limits on that. But we frequently have to turn down people because they don't have the receipts for these. But it's such a good thing.
Keep
And
your receipts.
yeah, keep those receipts.
Okay.
And it can be the difference between maybe, buying that saxophone for your child that's in the band or not, if you know that the money can be reimbursed. So again, those are some of the K-12 education expenses. Other tips: track your expenses, keep receipts, and be organized. And that can be as simple as having an envelope like this for your K-12 expenses, okay, kindergarten, 12th grade, or a big envelope that just says 2015 taxes.
Now, as simplistic as it may sound, I have trouble keeping tabs on my receipts.
Okay.
And as simplistic as that envelope idea sounds, I think it's an excellent one. I would not have, I leave them strewn in my drawer all over the place and difficult to find tax season. So
Yeah.
keeping them in a general located area is a very good idea.
And a good idea, too, take your smartphone out and take a picture of the receipt.
Oh, okay, but what if I don't have a smartphone? What if I have an idiot phone? Don't take pictures.
Then save your receipt.
There you go. Do you have another stress reducer there, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have a part-time job, and we run into a lot of people that are both self-employed and work at a regular job, track your mileage and expenses and learn the difference between business and commuting miles. Business mileage is always from work location to work location. So if you're going from your home to your part-time self-employment job, that doesn't count, or going back home. So that's just an example of try to track your expenses too.
So going back and forth to work is a community?
Commuting mileage.
Commuting,
And
okay.
it doesn't count.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Let's see. That's about it, other than it happens so often around here. We're missing documents or a receipt. We just highly encourage people to keep simple files or folders and bring them in at tax time. And I sometimes kid that I should have tattooed across my forehead, bring in last year's tax return, because that's always very helpful.
We don't suggest you tattoo your forehead and say that.
I wasn't seriously thinking about that.
Okay, we're going to leave that one alone. So I think it's a wonderful idea. Keep those receipts in an envelope or in a general area that you can locate them rather easily when it comes time to see these people. Next question, if I may. What tax credits should people know about?
We have, and it's available online, a Claimant. Now, this is a tax credit guide, and it talks about various credits, okay? There's an earned income credit for families that work, and that's a federal one. On the state level, there's a Minnesota working family credit, and those are for people that work, have wages, and the credit is more generous when you have children involved in the situation. Okay? There's a child tax credit that's federal. I spoke about that, and that's for families with children up to 16. Okay? Part of that can be reimbursable too.
In what form? How do you mean?
Well, first it's used to pay taxes, okay, that $1,000 to reduce tax, and if there's leftover, and the equation's a little bit complicated, and our software does it for us, thankfully, then it's refundable, that part, okay?
Very good.
There's a child and dependent care credit on the federal level, which is a non-refundable credit, meaning the money won't come back to you, but on the state, given the right circumstances, money paid in for child and dependent care costs can be reimbursed too.
If I can just step back 1 second, you said that the tax credit is non-refundable on the federal level.
Right.
What is the credit?
The child care. That's for when you pay someone to watch your child
There we go.
so you can go to work or look for work.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
And thanks for asking the question. We sometimes take this stuff for granted. We work with it so much.
I'm an idiot. I don't do that.
Okay. I don't agree with that, but we'll move on.
Good man. Good man.
There's also educational credits on the federal level that are for post-secondary. Okay. One that's refundable is the American Opportunity Credit, and that's for the first 4 years of college for students that are full-time students. Okay.
Hi, I'm back. That's right, Jimmy's Rage. Hey, I just want to talk about taxes, taxes, taxes. You know, they say there's three things in life: debt, taxes, and trouble. So we all got debt because there's always something we want. And we have to pay for those things that we want with the money that we have. And also debt, taxes, and trouble. So with those three things, oh yeah, there's one more too, death. You know, that's the only time where there's no taxes. And people will say, once the day I'm dead, then it's all over with, no more taxes. But until then, we've got to pay for all these things that we use: the schools, the hospitals, the roads, the streets, everything that you see as far as the city municipalities are paid for through our taxes. So remember, when you're riding down the street and you hit that pothole, BAM! And your whole front end goes out of alignment. And now you're spending the $100, $200, $300, you know, for the potholes in the street. Your taxes pay for road crews coming out and repairing things of that nature. Catastrophes, storms, hurricanes, tornadoes. Whenever you got those situations, floods, our tax dollars pay for the recovery. So again, I know nobody wants to do it. We have to do it. That's why we're in this great nation we live in. Pay your taxes. Feel free to drive on the roads, to have a benefit from all the things that we use. And once again, thank you very much. This is Less Stress for You and I. Saran, back to you.
Greetings. I'm Saran. Welcome to Saran's Perspectives. My perspective today is about taxes. Most of us hate paying them. Most of us pay too much. But the thing is, do you like driving on good roads? Taxes. Do you like being able to go to the hospital when you're sick? Taxes. Do you not want to turn into Smokey the Bear when your house goes on fire? Taxes. When that guy breaks into your house, who do you call? Not Ghostbusters. Police. Taxes. Taxes are a vital part of our society. Don't be cheap. Give up the money. It's for a good cause. It's your cause. It's our cause. Our business as a nation is to run as a nation. We cannot run without some type of financial stability. Pay your taxes. Give up the money. Loosen up the pockets. You rich folks out there, pay your fair share. Don't be scared. Be scared only if you don't pay the taxes. Then be afraid. Be very afraid.
And then there's a lifetime learning credit for those that are in graduate school or just brushing up skills at an accredited institution.
Or make a career out of their education or something.
Well, yeah, yeah.
I know people like
Yeah,
that.
yes. Yeah, we see them here too. We spoke about that K-12 education credit, which is a great credit, and I just can't encourage that enough. The retirement savings credit, and then also there's the homestead credit and what is commonly called the rent credit. And those are through the state, and given certain income levels and property tax you paid, that is either It's either something being returned to you or nothing. If you own a home, it's a homestead credit based on your income and how much property tax you paid. You may get some of that back. And for renters, the same thing. Based on your income and how much rent you paid, you may be able to get a credit back on that also.
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So my next question: if you're self-employed, is there anything special you have to do?
Self-employed people have a situation that has advantages and disadvantages. The advantages are that if you have a business expense, okay, for your business or trade, it's very likely deductible, okay? Maybe partially. If you use your cell phone 50% of the time for business, you could write off that 50% cost. You need to track your expenses, and also you need to be aware that you're paying 100% of the Social Security and Medicare tax. So the first year some of our self-employed customers come in here, that can be a bit of a rude awakening.
Okay.
Because when you work for someone, you pay half of the Social Security and Medicare tax. It's taken out every 2 weeks of your paycheck, and your employer pays the other half. Self-employed people come in here and boom, they have to pay the whole 100% of it. So
I'm ready for that.
yeah.
Yeah.
The silver lining in that cloud, though, is it does count as your contribution to the Social Security and Medicare funds.
Oh, okay.
So
Very
when
good. So
that'll
when
be
it's
used
time-
as part of the calculation when you want to take, receive your benefits.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
But again, tracking and again that mileage is confusing to people, and that's a very common expense.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Many know that the ACA is tied to the tax return. Can you talk about that?
Yes, it was incorporated into the tax return, and this was kind of like the initial year where we had to ask people whether they had health insurance, okay? And I was pleasantly surprised that in Minnesota we have a lot of good programs like Minnesota Care, and Medicare was expanded with those bills and all that. So we saw a lot of people that were covered, okay? If they come in and say, Tom, I'm covered. I've got Medicare or I've got Minnesota Care. We check a little box for everybody who has that. It's done, okay? If they get health insurance through what is called the marketplace, a special form is indicated on that. It's a 1095A is one of them, but it indicates how much premiums have been paid, and if they're going through the marketplace again, we're going to calculate what the credit they were eligible for, and it may be an instance where they may owe a little bit more money in to cover the premium credit given to them in an advanced way, or they may have some coming back, okay? And also for people that don't have any insurance at all, they have a penalty that's built into the tax return. So that's why we're encouraging people to pursue your options.
Okay, yes, pursue, readily pursue. Okay, what should you look for when choosing a tax preparer?
I would say choose someone that's reputable. You can find free sites. Minnesota Department of Revenue has a tax locator there for all free programs, ones that are established. And I'd be careful with people that promise, large refunds back and this. I look for someone that is reputable, okay, that's been in business for a while, that comes on recommendations. And again,
And you've been in business for over 40 years.
yes,
Just pointing that out.
yeah, and I would look for that. It's tax refunds can be prone to scams and all that. That's why I think that you need a preparer that's reputable.
Okay, that's fair.
And people, I think, are surprised that they qualify for free services.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
All right. If someone watching this program wants to come to Prepare and Prosper, what should they do?
We're open. If they haven't done their taxes or say they haven't done their rent credit form, we're open all year in the main office. Okay. And you can check out our website for our schedules, and we do appointments only here in the summer, in the off season, so they could come here. There's also some helpful tips on there on our website. what to bring to the appointment, okay? Such as photo ID and your social security cards. And again, those last year's tax returns, we love them.
Tattooed on your forehead.
Yeah. And other things there too. We also have financial services.
Why don't you give a quick lowdown to our viewers here in regard to your phone number and your email address and your website?
Sure. Okay. We are at prepareandprosper.org, okay? And also the phone number is 651-287-0187.
Okay.
That's our customer service line.
And they should ask for
Tom
Larson.
Adele will pick up the phone, but you can call me if you're self-employed at 651-262-2159. Again, 651-262-2159 if you're self-employed. And again, our main number is 651-287-0187. And we have a nice website on there with some really good information and what to bring if you're self-employed. We have a tax organizer on that you can download and some other things. Let's see. We do have a system here where people come in, and for quality control processes, we have them fill out the intake forms. Someone will prepare and someone will review. So again, we're proud of our quality control, but that can take 2 to 3 hours from start to finish.
And do you have bilingual services as well?
Sí. En
Sí.
español, si quiere. No, we have in Spanish, okay. Anel at the front desk speaks Spanish, and we do run the self-employed program for Spanish speakers too. And we do have access to Somali speakers and ASL interpreters.
Okay. Oh, very good. Very good. Okay. Okay. So, I guess for my final question, I'd like to ask you: is there a final piece of advice you would give to folks in regard to their taxes besides file it?
Filing is a really good idea, even if you can't pay, because there are penalties set up by the IRS for failure to file or late filing, and you won't get those if you file on time, even if you don't pay anything. Okay?
Okay. Wait, I'm stunned on that one. So, if I understand correctly, even if you owe the government money, as long as you file, they're okay with that?
They encourage that. Now, that does nothing with the taxes owed and any interest that may accumulate on that.
Right.
But the return is in the system, and you won't get fined or penalized for
evasion.
not filing or for filing late.
Okay.
Okay.
Outstanding. Wow.
Yeah. And as I said, how much we like last year's tax return, it is a kind of a financial snapshot of your year with taxes and finance. So take a look at that. Do you have money coming back? Are there ways like, IRA or 401k you could set up? And also your situation too. What's happening? Do you have somebody that was a dependent that's now on their own? And that will change your situation significantly. The tax code is quite kind to families.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. So, I know I'm going to go home. I'll have a ton more questions. That always happens. But I'm understanding you're saying file even if you owe. I'm understanding you're saying that you have access to people that speak multiple languages to aid with that. So, if you're confused about your taxes, don't feel any stress. It's something you're taking upon yourself. We actually have agencies in the state that are willing to help you, willing to sit down with you, help you file how you need to be filed, and, get that all in order so you don't have to get stressed out about it, all right? So I want to thank you, sir, for your kindness, your information, most insightful, most educational, I must say. And we want to thank you for joining us this week.